pretty things, dirty, pretty things, dirty, pretty things. Hello again, this is Miss May on the Dirty Pretty Things, episode 5. So, where were we, or where was I? Still waiting for some feed forward, some comments. Thank you to those who've taken the time to actually listen to an episode or part of an episode, who have downloaded the podcast, and I look forward to being able to hear more and share more in terms of debate maybe, or even just having the opportunity to exchange opinions in the near future. What I was talking about in episode 4 about a partner who goes outside and has children and keeps them secret. That happens and has happened not just in our culture but in other cultures, in many families. Sometimes people don't find out until later on. Sometimes they don't find out until the person passes away and the person's come and they want to claim some of whatever is left over for their secret, illegitimate children or child or whatever the case may be. What I think is really, really extremely sad is when a person goes outside of their relationship and has children outside and is claiming to be in love and in a loving relationship with their partner who they are with, who they live with, who they may even be in common law or actually married to. What I think is sad is you have some men and I would say more on the side of men having secret children, but also women do have secret children. But I have not seen as many occurrences of women having a secret child outside and not wanting to see that man have any child at all. I do know women can be extremely jealous and not want to see the man that they're with have a child outside with anyone else, and to take extreme measures to try to stop that from occurring, even though they have a secret child, which would be more than hypocrisy. But what I think is sad is when you find out that you've lived with someone who claims to love you, in my case as a woman with a man, and then you find out that this man did all kinds of things. Yes, he was trying to protect his own seed and protect his own heritage and protect his family tree, legacy, whatever it may be. But when you find out that that person did some things that inadvertently was to obstruct myself from having a child with anyone at all, jealousy, whatever the reason may be, some kind of protecting. What were they protecting? Themselves? Protecting? How can you really love someone, genuinely love someone, and claim that you're protecting them or protecting yourself or protecting your own children by obstructing them from having even the most basic rights to choose life, to choose whether to have a family or not, to choose who and when to have that family? No one has the right to take away your right to choose. But then again, even though we have all of these so-called human rights, they are being violated every day, not just by our loved ones, but by people in society in general who tend to, for whatever reason, especially when they have children, use them as an excuse to create all kinds of reasons why they now feel that they have the right to obstruct other people from having their needs met, from having the things that they most need in order to not just survive, but to have any decent quality of life. This is Miss May, opening up the reasoning again on the Dirty Pretty Things, episode 5. Dirty, pretty things, dirty, pretty things. Dirty, pretty things. Yeah, so, Dirty Pretty Things episode 5 continued. It is a really deep subject, and it's not something that I alone can really get into this reasoning about, because I really will need somebody else, whether male or female, just to knock heads and really get to grips more with this matter of how people raise their children and how people abuse other people's rights in this attempt, or some kind of attempt, oftentimes vain attempt, to protect their children from something that might not even be real, might just be anxiety and imagined because of, how anxious parents do get, because this is a very challenging time to be raising families. Let's face it, there was warnings given. Nobody said it would be easy in this day and age, but oftentimes I find that people are not really fully cognizant of what it is that they're getting into until they've already got there. And then it's like backtracking. So in order for me to go forward, I'm going to raise a different subject. And I think this is related somewhat to what I've been speaking about, but this is what is just on my chest, on my mind right now, that I need to vent. And that is, a lot of this comes with a lot of deception and people being very two-faced. They say one thing, they say they're supportive of rights, civil rights, ending racism, but then you find that they contradict themselves because they want to have a child with a white man, or whatever the case may be. They have this contradictory attitude, like, now I have a child that is lighter skinned, and they start to bring up the same stereotypes as they say that they're opposing. There's all kinds of things that we could reason about in some format, whether on this podcast or in some kind of other debate or whatever. It's all good. I mean, talk is part of it, but talk can also be cheap, because talk alone can't change the things that need to be changed in society for us to live in a much better environment, for the children to be raised in a much better environment. But one of the things that has been coming into my mind as I've been working on this particular episode of the podcast is how many people who I have met along the way who smiled in my face. And there's a lot of issues with that, with the people who knew about something but they were just not wanting to. Fair enough, people want to protect themselves and their own safety, and oftentimes they don't want to get mixed up in the drama. But if you don't want to get mixed up, that means you also shouldn't be talking about things behind a person's back. Just, kibba your mouth, as we would say in Jamaica, bite your lip, bite your tongue, whichever version you want. Don't say anything. If you don't want to get mixed up in something, then don't talk about it at all. But when the person is standing or sitting right there in front of you, and you know something that pertains to them personally, and you don't want to say anything because you're afraid of being, held responsible for being the one who talked, or the one who informed, or let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. Well, I think sometimes it's better we let the cat out of the bag, because the more it stays in the bag, the longer the thing stays under wraps. The more we sweep things under the carpet, is the bigger the problem will be later, and it tends to gather up until it grows into a whole bigger monster than it needed to be. But yeah, I noticed there's a lot of ones who they will smile in your face when they see you, and you wouldn't know, say they have any issue with you at all. And so when you find out years later about how many things have been kept secret, how many things they were really keeping, is like in Jamaica we say them a carry belly for you, or them a carry feelings. Too much people are carrying these feelings, and sometimes it's like when you get to the point now in life when you lose a loved one, and you realize that there's so many things that you never got to say to that person, so many things that never got to be ironed out, never got to be resolved or expressed or, put to rest even. Then you realize that life is really not something to take for granted. Tomorrow is not promised, as I always say, and our promises are comfort to a fool, but we won't go there. One expression after the other. The fact is that there is no guarantee that there will be a tomorrow. So when somebody has something that is important enough for them to have deep feelings about, it really deserves to be given the attention that it needs. And I really don't like the plastic smile mentality where people put on a smile, but you can just feel, the vibes will tell you, say something is off, something is not right, but they're not saying, nobody is saying, playing hypocrite. They do it all over the place, in social gatherings, in church, in workplaces. Sometimes it's necessary when you're being professional in a professional capacity. You might not like someone that much, but you have to just smile and be civilized and get on with what you have to get on with, because that's your job and you want to get your paycheck or whatever, your dues. But when it comes to personal relations, when you find people will hang out with you, come to your house, you go to their house, you sit down, you eat with them, sleep, maybe all kinds of things, drink, you get to know each other on a personal level, and you find out afterwards that they were smiling with you the whole time and going on like everything was all right, but behind it it was quite sinister, because you get to find out even years later that there was another motive, and that motive was not a good motive. Kind of thing is that, what is the problem with you allowing somebody to know that you don't really like them, you don't see eye to, you have a problem with them? Why pretend? Why hide? This is Miss May, episode 5 of the Dirty Pretty Things. Be right back. Dirty, pretty things, dirty, pretty things, dirty, pretty things. Yeah, so episode 5, The Dirty Pretty Things, featuring me, Miss May. So what is the reason for people pretending and keeping up with the pretense? We're not just talking about for 1 day or 2 days or a couple of weeks or months. We're talking years. This person from your primary school, children stage of life, or secondary school teenagers. Them for 30 odd years, or a good 10 years, or however many years, and this person, all the while you thought they was actually your friend. We know already all of the things about friend enemies and all the things people say about keep your friends close and your enemies close and all these things. But you've been moving and been close for years, and people even ask if it's your sister. That's how close you are, your brother or whatever. And you get to find out afterwards they was just a pretense. They were just keeping up a pretense, make pretend, make believe, and it wasn't real. What is that? Like, you feel insecure, this person make you feel insecure, you feel like this person is more intelligent than you, so you decide that you're going to be smarter than them, you're going to outsmart them by actually proving that you were not even, playing friend all the time. You was just trying to be smarter than them, so one day you could just drop them just like that, just drop them into something, and now you have all these years of history, and you can come and even bear witness, false witness against them now, and come and say, I know them for how many years. I used to go to school with them, and I've known them, and this and that, and I can now give them a bad reference. I can now speak of them badly and claim that I have this credentials because I've known them for this many years, that I can actually damage their reputation. This is real, this is serious. This is the type of stuff that we are facing, that I am facing in my life personally, when I say, wow, I've always kept myself circumspect and tried to keep myself to myself and be very self-contained. I don't really ask too much, because I know I'm a Capricorn true and true, and I don't really trust no one. Trust no one apart from self. Even myself, I have to double check sometime. Honestly, God no, I really have to wonder what kind of game is that? Pretend to be somebody's friend all these years just so you can turn around one day and really hurt them and drop them. Just like Bob said, only your friend know your secret and only he or she can reveal it. What is that? Who the cat fit? Here? This is Miss May, Dirty Pretty Things, episode 5. I really am going to need to get some feed forward from some folks out there, some people out there, whether male or female, single or already committed. What is it that makes people pretend for not just a little moment, but for years and years and years? Why pretend? If you don't like someone, you don't like somebody. That's it. Dirty, pretty things, dirty, pretty things, dirty, pretty.